This week we are reviewing the Odyssey, Christopher Nolan's epic. Is it a voyage for the ages or just another Greek tragedy? Stick around to find out. Hello and welcome to Middle Aged Geeks. I'm one of your hosts, Daz, and that is Phil. And this week we are reviewing Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which has been hotly anticipated after his Oscar-winning Oppenheimer. So The Odyssey is Christopher Nolan's adaptation of Homer's ancient Greek epic poem and serves up a ridiculous amount of A-list actors. I'll try to go through them now and take a deep breath. It stars Matt Damon as Odysseus, the legendary king of Ithaca, alongside Anne Hathaway as Penelope, Tom Holland as Telemachus, Robert Pattinson, Charlize Theron, John Leguizamo, Zendaya, Lupita Nyong'o, John Barenthal, and Elliot Page, and a lot more. And breathe. And so to set the scene for this, I thought it'd be funny to just list IMDb's description of this. After the Trojan War, Odysseus faces a dangerous voyage back to Ithaca, meeting creatures like the Cyclops, Sirens, and Calypso along the way. And that's it. So if you don't know what Homer's Odyssey is about, it is set after the fall of Troy. The story follows Odysseus as he attempts to return home to Ithaca after 10 years, but what should be a straightforward journey becomes a decade-long nightmare when he encounters storms and monsters and witches and gods and all this malarkey. While back in Ithaca, his wife Penelope struggles to hold the kingdom together while their son grows up without ever knowing his father. Will he return? Ooh, who knows? So, shot entirely on IMAX cameras and running just under 3 hours. We saw it together a few days ago, and we didn't speak about it at all, which is good, because normally we would chat for about 30 minutes after it, and that's what this podcast is. So, Phil, going into this one then with all the hype surrounding Nolan's first post-Oppenheimer film, what were your expectations, and did the movie live up to them?
Yeah, expectations were high, and for the most part, yeah, it hit them. This was, as you said, sub 3 hours, but 3 hours of fucking flew by. I have a few small beefs, but for the most part, I thought it was great. Like, I'll be honest with those of you at home, I have not read Odyssey by Homer. I haven't read it, so I can't talk about how faithful this is. But I know that for the most part, I think Christopher Nolan's tried to stick to, because I think you look at some of his other stuff. He could have gone down the road as having maybe some of the monsters and Cyclops and stuff that you see in the trailer. He could have just made them a figment of his imagination or hallucination or a metaphor or whatever. Whereas he went down the freaking, the actual root of real monsters and myths and all that kind of stuff. And I really appreciated that. And we may not have to talk about it, as I don't know with spoilers, but there's genuine horror scene, like body horror in this, which is definitely something new that I haven't seen from him. I love that too. I really liked the climax of the movie, which was, again, don't want to spoil too much or anything, but I really, really enjoyed it. And for the most part, the score as well. Jesus Christ, it's like the score is great, the sound is great. I know that some people were saying that the score is a bit messy, and I know, Daz, you mentioned that you weren't a huge fan of the tune that comes up just at the end credits. Not the tune itself, but the fact that it wasn't maybe serving, what epic we've just experienced. But I thought it was, just really the chanting, like rhythmic chanting and percussion and stuff like that scored throughout. It was just absolutely amazing, because when you put that together with the real heavy practical effects, which is, this movie's riddled with mostly practical as much as he could make it. It's just fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad that it shut up a lot of the moaners who were complaining beforehand, everything about between Elliot Page to Lupita Nyong'o to fucking all this kind of stuff. It shut them all up, because it's doing well with audiences and critics alike. So I'm a happy man. What about you, Daz? Because I had jokingly said that this week we could be doing your movie of the year, and so I am interested to know what you thought.
Yeah. I absolutely fucking adored this movie. I think it's pretty much an absolute masterpiece. It's one of those films, like about 20 minutes in, I had a massive grin on my face, because I just realized I was watching something special. I think it's a technical triumph, obviously, but it's an artistic triumph, and it's one of the most impressive things Christopher Nolan has done, and it's a high bar that he has set himself. As you said, the cast are phenomenal across the board. For me, Matt Damon is probably his best role. I think he's fucking incredible, but everyone else is pretty much incredible. I have one or two issues cast-wise that we'll get into, but what really blew me away is just just how immersive it was. And like we sit front row in IMAX anyway, so we're used to films like enveloping us, and I think that's the way you really have to watch a fucking movie. But this one just, I was locked in from the start. It's just like it's the visuals are so massive and epic, but they're also incredibly grounded. There's no, wide like shot, like if there's a shot in a storm, and there's no wide shot of the waves crashing, whatever. You're just on the fucking boat, and it's not giving you those CGI kind of master shots or anything like that, but it's still suitably epic. Whether you're trapped in a cave or just having a conversation, you're just kind of right there with the people. And I think especially in IMAX, it's not a film you simply watch. It's the movie just happens at you, which I thought was amazing. It flew by at nearly 3 hours. Yeah, the visuals are fantastic, but the sound design and the score, I think, are the highlight of the movie. And in IMAX, again, the seats are just fucking trembling beyond belief. It's just like, you don't need to go to a 40X thing. The seats are just fucking rumbling away.
Can I ask you on that, Des? Because we actually saw Tenet together back, I think it was during COVID times that came out, didn't it? But one of the critiques that I had, and a lot of people had, was that the score was too much, to the point where I was like, I can't hear what they're saying.
Dialogue.
This only happened a tiny bit in this one. There was one part when we were at Ithaca and they're going inside the main house, and I just couldn't hear. The score was just swelling a bit too much. But I didn't feel that much. But I had heard some people complain that was one of their gripes about this. But I didn't feel that this time around. I felt it was clear.
Not at all, yeah. And I think it's that exact moment is that you're speaking of, this exact moment for me as well. It's kind of like and it was just kind of a word. It's like, I get what they were saying, but it's like, I kind of missed that line. But it's not as bad as previous Christopher Nolan thing, his audio mixing, which is always just a strange thing. That is like, is there people when they're watching it back, are there people in the room with him and they're just too scared to kind of go, yeah, I can't hear that, Chris? Because a lot of the time, if you've written the fucking script and if you know what they're going to say, you can, like, the lack of clarity in his previous movies won't matter, because if you know what they're going to say, you can hear it. But if you don't know what they're going to say, like if he's showing the movie to somebody and they go back, yeah, no, it's great. Should we tell him about the sound? Because it's been a few movies now. Because there's you're really not getting that right. But this, I thought, was pretty fine. But yeah, when that score is dialed up to 11, it's pretty fucking impressive, especially the last 20, 30 minutes of this movie, which are spectacular. And it's just the score it just announces itself, and it grabs you by the back of the neck. But there's also other bits of the score where it's very soft, and it's almost like a Penelope's theme or something like that, or Odysseus' theme, and it's very soft and lovely. But then it goes between that and absolutely bone crushing, like fucking madness. It's fantastic. But sound design as well. It's just on the boat, and just the creaks of the boat, you can fucking just hear the wood. It's remarkable. And it's one of those movies, if you ever, like, people say probably too often, like, you have to see it in the cinema. Like, Oppenheimer, sound is great and all that, and it's really good to see it in the cinema. You don't need to see it in the cinema, but it's better. But this, you just have to see it in the fucking cinema. Like, it will not be the same in your 50-inch, and it'll feel longer if you watch it at home, that kind of thing, or on a plane. You'll feel the runtime a bit more. When you're in the cinema, it just breezes by, because you've just been assaulted by mastery, and every department is just operating at such an amazing level. But it's not just one thing as well. It's like, it is an action adventure movie. It's not as much action as you might imagine, which is a good thing. But it's like political, as you said. It's like, there are parts where it's a horror movie that you're going, maybe that's the next genre that maybe Nolan should dip his fucking feet into, because I really want to see a Nolan horror movie, because there are some genuinely terrifying moments in this. It's just a movie about, like, the cost of war and grief and regret, and it's just about being lost. Yeah, do you want to be found? I thought it was amazing. I've seen it twice, going again tomorrow, and I'm going to see it in 70mm on Thursday in the IFI. And if I didn't have kids or a life, I'd probably have seen this 12 times already. But yeah, it's front runner for probably my film of the year at the moment. Is Nolan's love of cinema it's all over this. It's a cinematic triumph, and they just don't make them movies like this. In 30 years, this will be looked at like Lawrence of Arabia or something like that, where you can just watch it back again. It stands the test of time because there's so much. They just filmed it as much as possible, as you said, on boats, on mountains, lugging these fucking IMAX cameras. Like, up and down mountains. It's fantastic.
Plus,
But like,
and plus, like
yeah,
trying to get long, you don't exactly get long shots either. You know how on an IMAX camera, with regards to how
yeah,
much recording time and stuff they get
they're
either.
about
Like
3 minutes or something. Yeah.
yeah, like it's such a technical wonder that he's put together here. It's
Mm.
just blows the mind when if you know how this movie's put together.
Yeah.
We've talked
And
about
it's
practical effects, and I'm sure we'll get on to the Cyclops, the Bill
mm,
Irwin thing, like that whole rig setup and all that is just mind blowing for me. Like it's
it's
incredible.
it's just amazing. Like, obviously his love of practical stuff, and there is like CGI in this. Like every filmmaker
Yeah,
working today, the CGI in every single movie, ad, commercial, everything. But like, this is kind of culmination of Nolan's like 20-year mission and journey to making a film fully in IMAX. Obviously, it started with like The Dark Knight, filming a few sequences, and there's been more and more in his movies, more IMAX sequences. But like, not a lot of dialogue heavy stuff, because the sound of the fucking cameras, the sound of the film going through is just, it's so fucking loud. It's like somebody flicking a deck of cards right by your ear over and
Yeah.
over and over and over again. So they devised you can see it online, they devised like the big giant kind of blimp thing to go around it to kind of muffle the sound of the film, but that makes the camera so fucking massive. Like when they were trying to do like just talking shots, Matt Damon was saying like, you can't be beside the camera for eyeline for the other actor for an over the shoulder shot. You have to be way off to the side because the camera's so big, and then the eyeline's fucking mad. So they built these mirrors rigs, so you're looking through a mirror to another mirror to look into the eyes of the person you're fucking talking to. Just bananas. But the fact that they lugged these giant cameras and they developed a new camera, the Keeley, for this, but like up and down mountains and the practical elements, and like building fucking Trojan horse, and they pulled it like off the beach and along off to a city, and you're just going, of course you did. It reminds me of like, Fitzgeraldo back in the day with fucking when they're pulling the ship over the mountain. Just like, yeah, just fucking bananas. But like the practical stuff, it's hard not to just shy away from just how brilliant it is to be shooting. You're on the ship. You've got these cameras on the ships up mountains in that cave with the Cyclops. And as you're saying, that rig, and you had said to me, you were just like, I know that fucking actor's face. And it was Bill Irwin who had played part of the Cyclops. But the fact that they, as Nolan said, they used every trick in the book. Yeah.
Yeah, but like the rig was basically obviously it was a massive rig that the other actors were all, that's what they're reacting to. It's not a CGI tennis ball that they're all told, okay, react to this. Like he is or Bill Irwin is an accomplished mime and all that kind of stuff as well. And so they basically had him in that suit that's picking him up, and he's controlling the movements. And obviously there's tons of CGI to smooth everything out, and there's a bunch of puppeteers. Yeah. But so much of it is Bill Irwin's movement, and it's right there because he's a Cyclops, the messed up face. It's the mouth. The mouth alone was what I was like, fucking no, that mouth. I got it, and then just to look it up and go, Jesus, that's it. It just that telemetry rig alone for me just blows my mind. Like, so it's everything from him shifting his weight, that the hydraulic thing was moving with those physics in real time. To do that when you could have gone the easy route and said, let's just put Bill Irwin. If you want Bill Irwin, put him in a suit and we'll just make him really big. The fucking done. We just do him all CGI. But to do that whole gigantic robotic puppetry thing, for me, it's just, I love that they let Christopher Nolan do whatever. Crash your 747 into a building. Make your gigantic puppet, whatever. It just, I love it.
Yeah, that's beautiful way. Even the way the movie starts, when it's just that opening line where it's like, in a land of apparent magic, and you're like, oh, here we go, off we go. Yeah, this is going to be quite mad. But when that Cyclops sequence happens, it is straight away where you just, because it's kind of the first proper set piece, and it's just done so perfect. You're just like, oh my god, you just absolutely nailed it. Even afterwards, when there's kind of a chase and all that through the trees, there's a lot of scenes of just Matt Damon and his men just getting off the boat. Oh, yeah, let's get for provisions here, and then 2 seconds later running back to the boat.
Run away
from me. We've made a huge mistake. Fucking absolutely brilliant.
I think just on that's because that was one of my gripes, was a little bit around some of there's a little bit of pacing, especially between a couple of those set pieces in the first half where we're getting plenty of action, but you see the guys in the trailer, the Laestrygonians, the big
the
silver,
giants.
they look like fucking Cylons from fucking Battlestar Galactica, like Monster, like their interaction with them and their interaction with Cersei, the witch, it's they're just right directly after each other. You know, it's just
Mm.
bang and then on bang, and it just those two scenes. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more of just some sort of recovery time after all that kind of stuff and
Chilling
what
on the
we've just
boat.
lost. Yeah, but even just what we've just lost, like what happens with the Lestragonians. But it's almost bang. The next thing we're into the
Yeah.
next thing. That was a little bit, but I mean, I am nitpicking here because I
Yeah.
have to find something for them. But because both of those scenes are fucking amazing, like loved it.
Yeah, it's almost like they kind of not so much front load it, but it is. It's kind of like bang, bang, bang. All this fucking shit happens
Yeah,
to get like yeah. It would be nice for a couple of extra scenes. It probably would have added only about another 10 minutes onto it, but it is so relentless, and you do get a sense of like Jesus Christ, like what's next. But let's touch on performances because what I mentioned, like I mentioned Matt Damon. I think yeah, it's possibly the best performance of his career. And he conveys. He has a lot to do, and he conveys all the stages of Odysseus' journey from the kind of flashbacks to with Calypso on the beach and
oh, I love those.
it's
Yeah,
just
so
he and the whole non-linear narrative works with his acting and also the fact that he has a beard, and it's a beautiful way you can just tell where you are in the narrative by how long his beard is and how grey his beard is. Just like, this is fucking great, nice and easy visual cues. But he was brilliant. Anne Hathaway is, for me, I guess, like you stop being surprised at how amazing she is. Like, she's brilliant in this. She like comes across as really smart, and she's trying to hold the fort and not let things kind of fall apart. And she's quite fierce in a few scenes as well, which is fucking pretty cool.
yeah,
John Leguizamo was another highlight for me, that he was in it a lot more than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was fucking great. Robert Pattinson is brilliant. You go through all of them, but I just wanted to get to Tom Holland, who, and this is a nitpick again, and it's really nitpicking. I think he delivers a solid performance, and I believed him more so at the end of the movie, and I think he does a really good job. But I think he's like completely overshadowed by everyone else being, I think, so much better than him. And I think he's just good. And I was trying to figure out the second time. I was like, what is it? I kind of believed him a bit more the second time. And I think it's just like, you can watch like Matt Damon or Leo DiCaprio, famous fucking stars, and they just melt into the character, and you're not watching the actor anymore.
yeah.
Tom Holland, I was just constantly going, you're Tom Holland. Like, you're just, you're just, and you're not a fucking teenager. You're 35 now or something. It's just like, but I don't know. I just wanted to know, did you get that with Tom Holland and a bit of John Barenthal as well? That I'm aware that I'm watching them and not the character as much.
That you're watching
Spider-Man
and Spider-Man.
Punisher, yeah, from the trailer, yeah.
What put me off, I think, from the start a little bit, and this is from the trailer, was the
daddy,
the use of the mom and dad. Like he
I don't understand that.
Mom and dad, and it's just strange. Like I know you don't have to be go all Shakespearean and go over the top with it and be all father, mother, grandfather, talk like this, but it's just, the other characters kind of do seem to talk like that. He doesn't. Robert Pattinson does when he's talking to Tom Holland, doesn't say about, oh, your mom. He says your mother. You know what I mean? He says he uses that. So it's that mom dad thing is kind of reserved for Tom Holland. But at the same time, I still thought he was great. I thought he was great. Just, as you said, yeah, maybe not as good as others, and as amazing. Hang on a second. As amazing as I thought Robert Pattinson was, I did think towards the end he got a little bit cartoony. There was a little bit just a
fight kind of thing.
Yeah, the fun stuff. I thought he was a little bit cartoony there, but for the most part, yeah, I thought he was great. It was good to see a different version, I think, as well, of John Barenthal's character. Like we see in Troy, we see Menelaus as like he's Agamemnon's brother, and he's a dickhead. Like it's Brendan Gleeson playing him, and he plays him fantastic. He's like the secondary villain, but he was just really there to get slaughtered just so Agamemnon could get his war. But he was an absolute bell-end monster, whereas there's actually a bit of honor to that character that I think John Bernthal brings to this, where he's the one telling Telemachus to go to Sparta if you want to get news about your dad, and he's not this greedy king or anything. He's a traumatized war veteran. He's not really a villain. He's just a broken dude who's struggling with life after war. And I like that. I like that kind of that change in that character. Not that we see Menelaus in many movies, but I liked how it was played and how it was portrayed by John Bernthal, because the character of Odysseus is different from the Odyssey. I mean, the character, as whimsical as it is, the character of Odysseus is probably closer in Hades to video game to it is, because he's cunning. He's the one that comes up with the plan.
He's the trickster
for the horse, all that kind of stuff. Whereas that's not how he's played here. Nolan has written him much differently, and I love this version. I think maybe there's critiques on it. People would prefer that other version, but I think this version is fantastic. I think it is.
I think that strengthens the kind of the family kind of dynamic of him and Penelope, and it's that he's more kind of a stoic and wants to get home and all this kind of stuff. I guess it plays better for modern audiences, and it makes sense that you would make that change. I mean, purists will be purists if they want something different. But speaking of some of the controversy, Elliot Page, I thought was fucking deadly in this movie. Who was not playing Achilles? All this fucking shite online, of course. Fucking he's not playing Achilles. But because it just opens straight away, with a scene on the beach with the Trojan horse, and Elliot Page is there straight off, and you're just going, oh, fucking, here we go. And that was a great opening, but then there's a scene later on, kind of in Hades, and it's really, really, really kind of poignant and emotional and kind of damning scene, and Elliot Page plays a kind of a big part in that, which I thought was great. But again, it's like Elliot Page and Lupita Nyong'o. They amount to about 4 minutes of screen time,
and they're both fucking great.
And they're both fucking brilliant. And Zendaya has about 12 seconds of screen time, but still, it gets to a point where kind of, not that it makes sense that she's playing her, but that character is in it so little, but still has a little bit of a sting to it as well, which is quite nice.
Oh, stop! I'm getting fucking goosebumps, fucking hair standing up thinking about this. Some of the scenes between her and Matt Damon, especially their last scene together when we get that, and the flashback and the handles. That's fucking powerful, and just beautifully played by both of them.
Yeah, it's they do so much with so little. It's like so few scenes together. But in terms of the story and the structure, this is like Nolan, obviously, like he loves his fucking non-linear narratives and messing with time and all that stuff. Sometimes can be shoehorned into movies, but because the original poem of this is told in that kind of non-linear structure, because it's kind of hearsay and Chinese whispers and kind of tales, so it kind of works for this. It feels natural that you're kind of jumping around between scenes, and it absolutely helps. And it showed in Oppenheimer. It helps with longer form movies. If you can do this, not that everyone should do it, but if you can do it successfully, as Nolan can, and with his editor, that you can really make it feel like 2 hours 20, and you can shave off half an hour easily when you're sitting there, because that non-linear structure gives you free reign to mold the film as you see fit. And like the editing in this is like, it's absolutely fucking spectacular. It really fucking is. It's like, I always say, you make a movie 3 times, you write it, you film it, and you edit it, but films are really made in the editing room, and this is like, you can shape it in any way you see fit. And there's lovely scenes where just like normally in a film you would have start the scene and the end of the scene, then the next one and next one, and if you get the pacing wrong or something, people tune out, you can really lose people, or you'll look at your watch. But this is just, there's multiple scenes happening all the time. It's just cutting between this, back to this, over here. When people are talking, you'll get like a 2 or 3 frames of a flashback of a different scene, and just like moments of silence. It was just unbelievable. It was my first time watching it. It was just about an hour in. I just went, this is like, it's one of the best editing I've seen in a long time. It's not something you normally chat about, because it's just, because it's throughout from start to finish. It's just an absolute masterclass in editing and manipulation for the greater good of the audience member. which is I thought was just fucking fantastic. So I guess, yeah, jumping on to some of the other complaints that people had was, well, one thing was the historical accuracy, which is fucking hilarious when you go, the movie is, it's a work of fiction. It's a fantasy movie. It's grounded in, it's 3,000 years old, but it's revolving around real places and potentially some real people. But like, it's got a cyclops in it and giants and fucking witches and sea monsters and people going on. Is that the right helmet that they wore in fucking back in 700 BC? Just like, oh, go fuck yourself. So yeah. One of those other complaints was the accents, and I thought, again, like when you see something like, it just brought to mind like Gladiator. When you watch that, 25, 26 years ago, and you kind of like, there is a moment where you're going, right, that's, it's Russell Crowe and he's called a Spaniard, and what fucking accent is he using? And just like within 30 seconds or even less, just like, fuck it, it's work of fiction. It's a movie. It's, especially with something like this, it's fantastical. And if people were really being purists and they're saying, well, they should have all Greek accents, well, then it should be played by Greeks and it should be in Greek. And then you dumb nut fucking complaining, you wouldn't see it anyway, because if you're making that type of complaint, you're probably not the person who watches fucking movies with subtitles. It's just like, it's just fuck off. Like, there's so many people online that are just really going out of their way to hate on it.
Well, I think it's on that point. I think people because your classic Hollywood epics, like you said, Gladiator and Troy, as you mentioned earlier, and all of these kind of movies, whether it's Alexander or Alexander the Great, any of these kind of things, they use this quasi-Shakespearean language with this your sire and father and mother and all that kind of. And yeah, he's purposely avoiding that, but I think they've gotten, maybe people have gotten so used to it that they expect that that's the norm. Like, well, that if you stay away from it, well, then you're that's, like you said, you're going against the way it should be. It's not. That's just what we're all used to because that's how it has been done in the past. But this is, as you said, made for modern audiences. That's why it's completely, it's a mixed race cast, and the language is maybe a little bit more of today. As I said, the only thing I just found weird was that Tom Holland was the only one doing mom and dad. But I don't mind you've taken away the kind of, I don't know, just the poetry side of what we'd expect from something that would be Shakespearean, and it just makes it a much more human experience for me, and which I actually appreciated. So yeah, I think people are only getting the gripe because they're so used to getting their epics that are told from from fucking whatever happened in Africa or Greece or whatever, in an English accent, like a quasi Shakespearean. Even 300, they're all talking with that. Like, it's
nonsense. Yeah, so like because I've been searching so much about this on YouTube, the algorithm throws up a load of fucking mad shit. There's one like podcast about some 4 or 5 fucking lunatics on there just shitting on the movie, and I caught about, it was in some live stream, and it was like 5 minutes that I watched of 3 hours of their live stream, and they're going on about, they're just shitting on it, but they're going on about the Cyclops in the cave, and just like, yeah, one minute the Cyclops picks up one of the men and fucking bites his head off and starts eating him, which is fucking awesome, by the way. And then the next minute they're all just sitting down, devising a plan, all kind of calm and all this stuff, and it's just like, that's just not how you'd react to a Cyclops in a cave. And it's like, how the fuck would you know? It's just like, I do think there's obviously, in a time of apparent magic, and like, if you come across any Cyclopses in your time, it just, just made no sense what they were. They're just they want to hate the movie, so they just have to find a way to hate it, and it just comes across when people say that, they don't realize how stupid they actually sound, and that their movie critique or criticism is just, the validity of it is destroyed instantly by just the nonsensical shite that's coming out of their mouth. Anyway, that rant over. Yeah, let's get a verdict, and we'll get on to a few little spoilers then. So what would you give this?
Yeah, like as I said, I had a few small gripes. I think a little bit with some of the pacing here and there. The small bit of thing with the language, the mom and dad thing, but I think it's just that just gives me a little bit of tonal whiplash, almost, that kind of that. But it's just a small thing, and it's just his character. You know what I mean? The rest of it, I don't care. I'm not one who needs to have the Shakespearean kind of quasi Shakespearean dialogue. This was just perfectly for me. I had no issues with that. And as I said, the pacing between a couple of the action scenes, but these are small gripes as I do try to pick in every movie because that's what we should be doing. But it still gets the highest score. It still gets 4.5, which is the highest I've given any of the ones that I've absolutely adored. I recommend everybody sees this. It's a masterpiece of cinema, of filmmaking. With get on IMDb and look at the cast list. You will not believe some of these people. I'm pretty sure don't even get to say a line, and you're going, "Oh, he was in it. She was in it. Who the fuck?" It's absolutely wild. It's I think just amazing. Christopher Nolan is just, we're blessed to be living in a time where we're watching these movies come out in real time. You know, we can look back, you and I, and maybe watch movies by Sidney Lumet or whoever your favorite actor happened to be, but they're back then. You know, we're not getting more. Whereas we know we're getting more Christopher Nolan, and we're living in it right now. We are blessed in a world of fantastic directors. Yeah, so 100% recommend from me. I assume you liked it, and we'll give it a few stars.
3, maybe 4. Yeah, 5 stars, easy for me. It's one of those rare films that's just come out of it saying it's an absolute cinematic triumph. Phenomenal achievement. Christopher Nolan, one of his finest films. Still not his best, but really, really good. Spectacular. Yeah, it's emotional. It's spectacular technically. Storytelling's fantastic. It flies by. The score and sound designs are off the fucking chart. Performances, everyone, including Tom Holland, are fucking great. One of the best films of the year, and just a cinematic event. And it reminds you of when you go to see a Spielberg movie in the 90s, or, you know, James Cameron's making another movie. It's just like, whoa, fucking hell. That's what these are. And they're always, like, Christopher Nolan movies are that anyway, but this is just dialing it up to 11 and just going, holy shit, like, what the fuck does he do after this? Just like an indie rock band biop?
Maybe you'll get your horror. Maybe you'll get the horror that you're looking for. I
fucking hope so. Yeah, this is just the kind of movie that reminds you why cinema exists and why you go to the cinema. 5 stars and 4.5 for us. See it in the cinema, because if you don't, you will regret it. So yeah, if you're leaving us there, thank you, and catch you on the next one. But let's get into some spoilers. So yeah, it's hard not to start with the Cersei horror fucking madness. And do you know this was all in camera? It was all fucking there. There's no VFX. Samantha Morton was saying it's just astonishing that she got to do all that, where she basically just morphs the fucking heads of all these guys. It's so unnerving, even when they're just sitting around eating the food. You're like, something is fucking off here, and they can't stop eating, and they're kind of, there's a couple of shots where it's like it's reversing as well, so they're eating stuff and then it's kind of coming out, and it just, they're messing with the speed of the camera, and it's just, something is fucking off. And then when she just starts pushing one of their faces and pulls their nose out, you're just like, oh, what is this? And the sound.
Yeah, there's a fucking island of Dr. Moreau fucking shit going on. He's transforming them into animals. And like, it's like you said, there's no big over the top special effects, which is just that kind of massaging. I think the first part we see is
so intimate,
ears
like,
ears with a little bit of hair or something on them. Yeah. Like, holy shit, she's doing that. And then obviously we see Matt Damon outside. He's after killing the deer, and when he catches up on it, it's a naked dude, because it's reversing back into
what
the thing.
The fuck?
But like, but yeah, it's awesome. And I thought she was great, and the scene between the two of them at the table, then, you know, with Matt Damon and her, was great. Like, he has just some beautiful one-on-one scenes, like the one with him and Penelope in between the partition thing, when he's sitting on the bench and he's talking to her, and that's that whole thing with Zendaya, and we see him reaching out because she's like Athena, and we get that flashback to, you know, why she looks like that as the girl that he saw slaughtered and all this. And it's just,
so she's almost haunting him, reminding him.
Oh, stop. And Dad, and then of course his stuff with Calypso, like, again, and it's Charlize Theron.
I would have stayed on the beach with her.
That sounds great.
She's one of the most beautiful people have you ever seen on screen.
But I loved even their small, like, their parts together. I thought were amazing, because you've got these like superstars. Like, she's like, you know, fucking triple A-lister star, and her part is so played down. You know, her part is there to basically to interact with him and to explain things to him that don't go massively over the top. And when we don't see her, when she leaves the screen, we don't have to see her again. That's it. She's gone, and that's it's amazing to see. And I know that's actually a gripe of some people. I think that they're putting huge people just because you can get them, and I don't think so. I think he picks people for these parts because he knows that they're right for
work.
it, and then he can get them. The draw to work with him obviously must be huge, but like John Leguizamo role, I wasn't expecting him to have that big role either. But I'm delighted he wasn't played by anybody else, and he could have gotten played by somebody even bigger. But I loved that. I thought that was great. His scenes were fantastic, and your man Logan fucking Marshall Hall guy, your man what is it, the pound shop fucking Tom Hardy guy? I never remember his name. It's Logan Marshall some other. He does look like fucking Tom Hardy.
Yeah, he does.
I didn't even know he was in this, but even his small little fucking role, Mia Goth is in this,
for 2 minutes.
Exactly, yeah. Fucking great, man. I don't know. I want to go and see it again.
Oh yeah, but for me, it's like when you were touching on it, when he kind of comes home and John Leguizamo is just like, saying, is Odysseus going to avenge what's happened to him, whatever, and Matt Damon's just going to bring it all, and just in the score starts to, the percussion comes through, and then you're thinking, oh fuck, is this going to be the final end? But it's still another 25 minutes of this build up to this fucking like him coming back in, firing the bow with all the axe and stuff. Oh, do you know that actually, an aside, that logo, the TSG logo, movie logo,
yeah,
somebody firing the thing through all the axes, then you're just like, oh, that's fucking Odysseus. Never knew that. But that whole, his return, and the second time it hit me a lot more emotionally when he arrives and the dog, and you've been a dog lover, when he puts his hand down and just like touches the dog who's been waiting for him for 20 odd years, and then the dog just dies right there. And that's when Tom Holland goes, you're Odysseus. And he doesn't quit. They don't have to like, oh yeah, and gives a hug. He's like, no, I'm just a beggar, but like you are just like, you're the son of, or you're the great son of Odysseus, and he would be immensely proud of you, or something like that. And it's just like, oh man, it's just like, he can't fucking hug him, he can't have this moment with him. But that was fantastic. But I think the thing that hit me, I guess, the most was that chat when he's chatting to Penelope behind the screen, and the whole Zendaya thing. But it's really when you don't really think about it too much, it's the Trojan horse, and that's how they won the war and stuff. And it's like, you forget like that it was a peace offering, and the war was over because of peace. And then the whole thing about Zeus's law, and treat others as you want to be treated yourself, and you just violated that. And that's why when the sirens sang the song to him, and just when he heard inside his head that maybe he didn't want to go home because he doesn't want to face this fucking trauma of like what you've done, what you do, or what you did, and that he and his men are the sea people that they keep talking about, that rape and pillage people, and that was just his men trying to find provisions on the way home. And it's just like, fucking hell. And that is the weight of the whole thing, that you've been in the cinema for 2.5 hours and you're just like, this is fucking brilliant, but then it hits you with that, just the weight of his journey and what he had to deal with. And then Zendaya, and seeing her flashback getting fucking beheaded, and you just went off screen being beheaded. It's just like, oh wow, it's just another fucking layer entirely.
And how easily, humanity turns into, civilization can crumble back into, because they're treating, as you said, Zeus's law as if this is the thing across the land, and how that it can only be held for such a small amount of time. Civilization kept in peace is only such a fleeting thing, and that has always been and will always be such a fleeting thing, because at any stage it can slip so easily into full out war and everything. And this, it's beautifully told here. And I think that this kind of part, this kind of scene that you're talking about as well, that battle at the end when he does the arrow, that's where I was a little bit cartoony, because for Robert Pattinson's character, because he's kind of hiding behind the pillar, and each time
something
not
falls,
Tom Hardy
weapons.
throws the stuff down through the ground, he's like, grab the swords, and then he throws it, grab the shields, and each time he throws them, it's like, we can see them, we know what's going on, like, like he's directing all these people, and all those guys, they're not really but at the same time, they're supposed to be like this 100 something whatever it is suitors of Penelope, yet for some reason at the end he's like coordinating them, telling them all what to do, he's giving orders to people. I was like, well, aren't you just one of the gang, one of the rest that are trying to I don't know, I thought it was a little bit cartoony, but I mean, again, small gripe. I thought how he played the character was an absolute shit bag, and I loved it.
We didn't talk much about him, but he's just I can't wait to see June 3 and see him be another fucking evil dude. But just on a final note, yeah, that the Nolan, I think it's one of his best endings to a movie in terms of just that last kind of shot when himself and Penelope are off on the ship and the music is fucking swelling and she's saying, you know, society will rebuild again. We'll be great again after violating Zeus's law and all this kind of stuff. And Matt Damon says, yeah, no, in time people will forget, what we did here. And it's just like, oh, and then the shot of the Trojan horse fucking burning. Very powerful ending to a very powerfully brilliant movie. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, 4.5 and 5 stars for us. See it on the biggest screen you can. And as always, thanks for subscribing, liking, sharing, and everything in between. And we'll be back next week with hopefully a movie that is half as good as this one. Take it easy.
Bye-bye.